from the station that's on your side. This is News 12 at 6 o'clock.
More money, more officers, more patrols. Leaders in Aiken responding after a string of violence across the county, but some say the real work starts at home.
When child come home, they need to feel that love. They need to know that you're worrying about them. They need to know that you need to talk to your kids.
Hear how some leaders are pushing for change, starting in our communities.
Plus, these firefighters are speaking up about Augusta's search for a new fire chief.
Who owes a favor? You know, why are you cramming this guy down our throat?
What they say they want to see from city leaders.
But up first this evening, happening now, the Richmond County Board of Education meeting right now to get a COVID update from the superintendent.
While Aiken County has already lifted mandatory mask mandates in its schools, Richmond County says for now they will not be changing any of their mask or social distancing guidelines. News 12's Wrdw live from the BOE right there on Broad Street with more about that decision and what we can expect out of tonight's meeting.
Well, Laura, tonight, masks are in the spotlight, and as we've seen more people get vaccinated here, we've seen those masks come off across different districts, but they say that they're going to follow Governor Kemp's executive order from here on out. As one of the most unpredictable school years comes to a close, the Board of Education is working to end the year keeping everyone safe.
We're going to adhere to the governor's order and continue to follow the guidance to take the extra precaution to make sure that we finish the school year strong and that our students and staff continue to be safe.
The district says that they will continue to keep the same COVID guidelines in place that they started the year with, even as case numbers are going down.
Over the last few months, we've seen a decline in the number of COVID cases, as well as the number of people who've had to quarantine.
In Richmond County, case numbers right now are about a quarter of what they were when school started. On August 31st, 2021, there were 856 cases of COVID reported in the 2 weeks prior. Since May 4th, 2021, that number was only 333. Positives are also down in the school system by almost half.
As our staff and students have become vaccinated and as vaccine eligibility has expanded, more people are vaccinated and fewer have to quarantine. That means that more people are able to be in our classroom safely.
But even as more people are vaccinated and kids 12 to 15 get the vaccine, the school system says they will continue to wear masks until further notice.
This school year has been one where collaboration was key, and everybody working together is what made this year successful.
And as for the summer learning program and next school year, they say it's all up in the air right now. They're not sure if they're going to have masks for students or staff members. They say that they're working closely with DPH to determine that right now. Guys?
The final stretch of the school year. Keep us posted on that, Will. Columbia County also still has its mask mandate in place, so students are required to wear one when they're not able to social distance. The district says they will ditch the masks once they believe it is safe.
And speaking of which, masks are officially a thing of the past right here at SRP Park. Here's a live look at the stadium right now, where tonight fans are not going to have to wear a mask or face covering to get in. Let's check in with First Alert Chief Meteorologist Riley Hale. And Riley, looks like a great night for baseball.
It is going to be beautiful out there, Richard. We're expecting the cloud cover to stick with us. It's a little bit of a breeze out in the east. Take advantage of the low 80s because we're talking 90s for the weekend. Have a look at a hot forecast coming up.
Riley, thank you. Augusta firefighters are calling for more transparency in the hiring process of the new fire chief. They spoke in front of commissioners today.
All of this comes after our I-team found the city administrator threw Antonio Burden's name into consideration, even though internal emails show Burden was not a recommended candidate by the staffing agency. The city paid thousands of your dollars to hire. News 12 Celeste Springer live outside of the municipal building. So, Celeste, got to know, what did firefighters have to say about all this?
Well, everyone there told us the exact same thing. They just want the most qualified and best candidate possible. But there's a lot of conflict right now over the hiring process. And some firefighters say they don't like what they're seeing. Captain Steele with the Augusta Fire Department says he hopes the commission will pick a candidate from the pool of 11 the staffing agency handpicked. Internal emails show those candidates were in the two top tiers of people they deemed most qualified for the job. Antonio Burden was not in either of those. Some people are calling for transparency, and two commissioners tell us Mayor Hardy Davis was told by the city attorney not to open the floor for questions. We reached out to the mayor's office, and they tell us that's not true, and commissioners had the opportunity to put themselves in a queue to ask questions. And after all this, firefighters say they have concerns about this whole selection process.
Taxpayers deserve better. As the mayor says that he's in the beginning every time he has a meeting, they're there to do the people's business. Well, do the people's business and hire the most qualified, capable candidate for the position.
The city administrator declined to interview with us about why he threw Mr. Burden's name into consideration, but he did tell us that he has no personal or professional relationships with him. That he says he hasn't even met him in real life before. Coming up at 11, I'm working on a story talking to commissioners about what their thoughts are on this process and where do we go from here.
It'll be interesting to hear from each of them. Celeste, thanks very much for that live update from downtown. So, on the money side, what's the total cost of this fire chief search for the taxpayers, search that commissioners ignored? The I-Team analysis found as much as $27,000. And Laura's here now to break down those numbers for us.
Well, the recruiting firm the commission hired to conduct the search will be at least $18,000, maybe as much as $20,000. So far, the city has been billed a total of $14,108 across two invoices for services from GovHR USA. There's still one more to come. As we mentioned, City Administrator Odie Donald dismissed their recommendations and pulled Antonio Burden to the top despite not making the top 11 out of 51 candidates. We emailed Donald and asked if this was a bad or good investment for taxpayers. So far, he's not responded to that question. Also, the city fought releasing public records about this job search. Wrdw sued along with other media outlets, and we won that case.
Also today, we're learning a teenager is facing charges after an incident that caused quite a stir on social media over the weekend. This is the corner of Boy Scout Road and Skinner Mill Road. And our Sydney Heiberger happened to witness the whole thing unfold, and she says the teen and some other kids often sell water bottles on that corner. Sunday, the officer told them they could not run in the street. An argument broke out. The officer actually took the teenager down to the ground to restrain him as he hit and kicked the deputy. Eventually, everyone was let go. No one taken into custody there at the time, but again, that teenager is now facing charges. Plans are moving forward for two new schools in Aiken County. Last night, North Augusta City Council members approved rezoning more than 50 acres to build Highland Springs Elementary and Middle School. Both schools will be housed in a connected two-story building near the corner of Old Sutherland Lake Road and Belvedere Clearwater Road. They're going to need to approve a second reading for that rezoning to take effect. Leaders in Aiken taking action after a string of violence over the last few weeks.
We've told you how the city and the county are asking for more money and more resources to up their patrols, but some officials say there's got to be a better solution. As Brady Travel reports, it starts with the community.
Aiken Public Safety knows that solving the issue of crime in the community is not all about police patrols and police presence. So they're partnering with an organization that's trying to address the issue at the source.
Almost a year ago, I ended up getting caught up in a situation. Wrong place, wrong time. I got shot 9 times.
Roman Williams Sr. is here to tell the story. We were there that night, and his cousin didn't make it.
My son has to grow up here, so I wanted to be safe for my son as possible.
He's using his second chance to help make Aiken safer. He now helps kids at the Teen After School Center over at Second Baptist Church.
I'm not saying that they're right or wrong, but let them know that you're not by yourself. You're valued, you're important, you're loved.
Christopher Emmanuel says his organization partners with Aiken Public Safety.
When we have those core relationships in place, it can make a tremendous impact on anyone's life who may be considering violence.
Cynthia Mitchell works for Aiken Public Safety to bridge the gap between officers at the crime scene and those who need help.
What we try to do is when individuals come to us is connect them with services that are already available.
Connecting those impacted by violence or a bad home life and offering people who want to help.
A lot of these shootings are not random.
Captain Eric Abdullah with the Aiken County Sheriff's Office says many of these issues are gang-related or systemic. It's a cycle of crime that has to be broken.
It takes more than just law enforcement to police. It takes the whole community.
And Roman Williams believes it takes parents who want to see their kids succeed instead of seeing blue lights.
Child come home. They need to feel that love. They need to know that you're worrying about them. They need to know that you need to talk to your kids.
Reporting in Aiken, Brady Trapnell on your side.
The sheriff's office says they are still working on other ways to stop the violence, like more investigators to hold people accountable, more patrols to stop violence before it happens. Today, friends and family said their goodbyes to Ian Wilson, one of the two friends who drowned while boating on Clarks Hill Lake. You're looking at some video from his service earlier this afternoon. You can see how many people loved him, all gathered out there at Hillcrest Memorial Park. Wilson and his good friend E.J. Kirk both drowned last month while they were out on the lake. Kirk was laid to rest over the weekend.
A heads up this evening for pet owners. You're going to want to keep a close eye on your dogs and cats. We're learning 2 dogs have been attacked by a rabid fox in Hebseba. This happened last week off Peach Orchard Road. We're told the dogs have both gotten a booster vaccine. They're under a 45-day observation. Experts say this is a good reminder to keep your pets close to home and make sure they are vaccinated against rabies.
A new effort to fight blight is on the table in Augusta. Today, city leaders were presented with a draft of a new blight ordinance. This would be the city's first ordinance to address blight. We've heard a lot of talk. Right now, the man charged with murdering his sister and another woman and shooting and injuring his mom and a 4th woman sits in jail. This is Tyler Prather. The Richmond County Sheriff's Office is now investigating a possible second subject. Now, at this point, they won't tell us any more about that person or how that person might be involved.
You know, yesterday we heard from an 8-year-old, Jordan Moulton. His mom died in that shooting. Cindy Heiberger spoke with him and his guardian, who asked us to share his story.
Right, Richard, I spoke to Jordan's aunt, and that's when I met Jordan himself. Today I talked to a child psychologist who told me children witnessing violence is actually way more common than we would like to admit.
An uncomfortable conversation.
Witnessing trauma is unfortunately very common,
but a necessary one. In Richmond County, children witnessed or were the victim of a crime at least 163 times since 2018. And these are just the documented cases.
I took my nieces and my nephews with me to my house so they can get all those bloody clothes off and try to get their mind off the situation.
Janice Williams' house transformed from a 2-child home to a 6-child home overnight after her 4 great nieces and nephews witnessed their mother killed. She's had to search for a larger home and resources for the kids, everything from clothing to counseling.
I haven't ate since Thursday. I just been drinking fluids.
Now is the time, Dr. Jeremy Hertza says, having a support system is most important. And sometimes the most effective measures don't cost a dime.
Making a connection with the school counselor gives them support during the day. Like if they're having a bad day at school or everyone's asking questions about what happened, they have somebody right then and there that help them and solve their problems.
It's tragic, raw, life-changing.
For these kids that saw, that saw what happened, like that is almost incomprehensible for an adult, let alone a child, to wrap their mind around.
But it's the unfortunate world we live in.
So much change really in a blink of an eye for these families, for these kids who saw this. So what's the biggest challenge? What do their aunts say was the hardest thing right now?
Well, right now, Laura, besides the emotional burden of everything, she is in the process of trying to find a bigger home for all of those kids that are suddenly staying with her. She did get a voucher from Augusta Housing Authority for a 3-bedroom home. Right now, she is having trouble finding one.
Yeah, we're dealing with a housing crisis, so it's just, there's never good timing for something like that.
And an important follow-up, too. A lot of times the news media, we will cover the crime and forget about this kind of follow-up, but I'm glad you went back, and hopefully this family can get some help because they certainly need it right now.
Tough. Just hard to imagine what they're going through. Cindy, thank you. There is a balloon release for Jordan's mom, Tisha Moulton. It's tomorrow at May Park. That kicks off at 6 o'clock.
Okay, taking you back out live now to SRP Park. We're
91, 94, and then getting closer to 100 degrees next Monday and Tuesday.
And with a forecast like that, what is better than a cold glass of lemonade?
Yeah, not much. One local family has been serving up homemade lemonade from their front yard for 5 years now. Tonight, News 12's Tradisha Woodard shares their secret to success.
Hey, go like cars, y'all.
If you're coming down Old Savannah Road,
Ice cold lemonade!
You may hear a chant you can't resist.
Ice cold lemonade! Hey, go get some lemonade!
D-Long's Lemonade started about 5 years ago. Marquisha Curbo says, It's her kids that keeps the business running.
Let them try it first and then tell us how it tastes. She helped us, and when it comes to sharp objects, she come in.
We never had a negative feedback. We always had good feedback. They love the lemonade. We had people come, get lemonade, leave, and come back. That's how good I done heard it to be.
They say it's the flavors that keeps cars pulling in.
What would you like to order?
And people walking up.
We have small balls for 3.
It made me feel like we made somebody else day. Maybe they remember us again and come back again.
Bringing smiles every day. Serving up homemade lemonade the D-Love's way.
I got lemonade. Hey, come get your lemonade.
Tradisha Woodard on your side.
Okay, you can't drive by that and not stop.
We love what they're selling. Yeah.
They even have matching t-shirts. This is a full-fledged operation.
That is great marketing. That and television coverage, they've got it
I love it. I'm coming sometime this summer. I'm getting a glass of lemonade. Yes, I'm going to find them. Okay, we'll take a look outside. Almost time for baseball tonight at SRP Park. Mike's coming up next with a preview of this week's series and something to look forward to